Hey, Raymond here from the Beginner Photography Podcast, and I like to sing my children's names into popular songs. Some of my favorites are We Will, Rock Charlie, and Born to be Parker. Now, I didn't say that they were any good, but I don't know, I like to do it. So, okay, let's get into today's interview.
Welcome to the Beginner Photography Podcast with Raymond Hatfield. The podcast dedicated to helping you grow your photography skills. Raymond interviews the world's top photographers in their field to ask questions that will get you taking better photos today. Now, with you as always, husband, father, home brewer, LA Dodger fan, and Indianapolis wedding photographer, Raymond Hatfield.
Welcome back to today's show. I am so happy to have you here today, especially because today is a big day. Today is a good day. It's Monday, right? We should be happy that we're here today. We may be on our way to work, but it's a new day and we made it today. But over the past year or so, I have been talking to you a lot about this 14-day free video course that I have called Photography Basics for Beginners. And let me tell you what, it has been a massive success. I regularly get emails from those who have actually completed the course saying how much that it has actually helped them, which is so cool. Like I got this email from Kyle who says, get this, "Hey Raymond, before I begin, I want to thank you so much for this free course. I took photography in high school and college, but put the camera down once life got in the way. My wife and I have a baby on the way, so I took your course thinking it would just be a refresher. Not only did you teach me just about everything it took me 5 years to learn in school, but I learned a few new things from your course too. I'm so excited about photography again, and I can't wait to take 1,000,000 photos of my son when he arrives. Thank you so much for this course. Keep up the amazing work." First of all, holy cow, Kyle, I am so happy for you. That is so cool. We've chatted a few times back and forth through email, but it's just that progress that you got from the course is awesome. To know that you took 5 years of photography and this course in a very short amount of time refreshed everything that you had learned and even taught you new things is super, super cool. But when I asked Kyle and many others about how I could make the course even better, they all said the exact same thing. They want the same info. It's great info, but they want it in a more compact package, I guess. So that's what I did. Today, I'm introducing the 2-day photography bootcamp, 2-day video photography Bootcamp, okay? It's all of the same great info as before that has helped so many photographers, both new and obviously experienced, as Kyle here, but just in a more substantial form, okay? So if you're interested, you can go sign up right now at beginnerphotographypodcast.com. You will see a sign up right there on the homepage. Just scroll to the bottom, you'll see it, sign up, and you will be enrolled. Now, if you have already taken the 14-day course, don't worry, there is absolutely no need for you to sign up for the new 2-day bootcamp because it's all the same information, just once again, more compact. It's just for those who are new to the Beginner Photography Podcast and want to learn how to take better photos right away. So if you're listening and that is you, head over to beginnerphotographypodcast.com right now and sign up, and you can be a better photographer by this weekend. Pretty great stuff. Okay, so today's guest, wow, I reached out to him because I saw some questions being asked in the Beginner Photography Podcast Facebook group about websites. And this could be a tricky topic, right? We don't all know the answers. Some of it is, what should we do? What should we not do? So I reached out to an expert, and he is the host of the WordPress Photography Podcast. And today we chat about, everything from when to start your website, right? This is something that is it too early to have a website? Is it, when do you need to know? Today we tackle that. We talk about how much time you should be spending on your website and what to do if you shoot multiple types of photography. Really great information. And if you're a premium member, you will also hear what needs to be on your homepage, where most photographers screw up their website, and even what the main goal of your website should be, hint, it probably isn't just to make bookings. So if you're not a premium member and you want to hear all of the extras, you can click the premium member tab over at beginnerphotographypodcast.com. It'll take you over to Patreon and you can sign up right away. Also, this is cool. I have invested both time and a good amount of money into a brand new system to help improve the quality of audio of the podcast. So I would love to hear your thoughts on today's interview and how it sounds, specifically, obviously, Scott's audio himself. So why don't you shoot me an email at beginnerphotographypodcast@gmail.com and just let me know what you think. Let me know if it sounds better and your overall ideas. Okay, so there we go. It's really great stuff. I'm really excited for today. I told you this was Good News Monday, so here we are. Let's go ahead and get right into today's interview with Scott Wyden Kivowitz. Today's guest is Scott Wyden Kivowitz, host of the Wordpress Photography podcast, and he works for Imagely, a company that creates WordPress website themes just for photographers. Today, I'm excited to find out how to make the best photography website in the entire world. Scott, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having me. That's pretty funny. Yeah, I guess we'll see if we can fit the best photography website into 45 minutes.
We can do it. I'm confident that we can do this. I have faith for sure. Before we do get into that, I want to know a little bit about you and how you got your start in photography.
Okay. Yeah. So I've been a photographer now for well over 10 years at this point. My biological father and his father, my grandfather, were both hobbyist photographers. So they were always taking pictures. Well, my biological father passed before I turned 2. So I'll get back to that in a second. But my grandfather was always taking pictures of me when I was younger and my brothers. And the photography has just always been around my life. And by the time I got to high school, I got to take photography classes, and that just kind of grew on me. But I actually was more into the music direction. So I actually wound up going to Berklee College of Music for 1 semester before I realized I could not stand music theory. I transferred to a county college in New Jersey, and I was sticking with music, thinking maybe, a county college wouldn't focus so heavily on music theory for a music recording major. And that was not the case. There was still so much music theory. So I got sick of it, switched to photography with some guidance from some friends and family. And I haven't turned back since. And I'm very fortunate. I have on my shelf my grandfather's camera and my father's camera. And they both were my first cameras that I got to use in college. And now they just sit and don't get used too often. So, but it's kind of fun. My biological father, I really get to know him from stories my family shares and from the photographs that my grandfather took when he was younger and even older. And so that's how I get to know him. And that kind of, kind of energizes my love for photography, being able to do that for other people, to have their stories documented historically, and for them to be able to share that with their future kids and grandkids and so on. So out of college, I worked at a local retail store, camera retail store, and eventually was in one of the largest camera warranty companies. And I worked my way up from retail store to warranty department, service department, to marketing, and all along got to pursue my photography on the side. And then left there after about 6 years, went outside of the photo industry, and then was approached by my current boss. And now I've been working for Imagely for 6 years, going on 6 years at this point.
Wow.
And still get to pursue photography on the side, which is really good. It's actually, I'm encouraged to, because everything I do for myself only helps me connect more with the Imagely customers anyway. So
right. I love that. Yeah. So what kind of can you share what kind of photography that you do with the listeners?
Yeah. So for years I've been doing family portraits, cake smash photography, headshots. I've done a bunch of corporate work, corporate work. And more recently, I'm starting to shift my business to personal brand photography.
Oh,
because I've been doing it all these years. I just never did it as like a focus, as a package. So
yeah.
I'm starting that process, and that's a growing genre in photography these days. So that's a big journey to take, and especially in an area where there's a lot of entrepreneurs, but there's not a lot of entrepreneurs that realize they need personal brand photography. So I have everything ready to go. I just need to now get the clients, and I have 2 booked so far. And it's just a matter of getting those done, and then being able to have those word of mouth spread through the influencer scene and entrepreneurial scene in New Jersey.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. That's definitely something that's starting to take off more and more as time
Yeah.
goes on. I like that idea. I like that. So when you were first starting to like really learn photography from family and friends, and with your dad and your grandpa's camera, which is so cool, by the way, what would you say was the hardest part of photography, like the technical side of it, for you to learn?
For me, I'm actually colorblind to a point. So
Really?
it's not severely colorblind, but enough that I need guidance when I'm doing anything with color. So
How so?
so when there's my color blindness is when, and my father and my grandfather both had this as well. When 2 colors, if there's a dark blue and a black next to each other, I can't tell the difference. Or if there's a red next to an orange that are similar, I can't tell the difference. So for me to ensure accurate color in college, my professors would actually give me guidance to ensure accurate color out of the darkroom, because I just couldn't do it.
Mhm.
And these days, because of technology, I rely heavily on the Color Checker Passport and the Color Monkey to ensure that, pre-capture, I have, the ability to get my white balance and the color is correct. Mm-hmm. And then on the computer, make sure that my monitor is perfect, so that I don't have to worry about, any imperfections there as well. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Does that affect anything like while you're shooting, or is it all like does it affect you like when you have the camera in your hand? Is there anything that you pay special attention to?
Not really. I just focus on the art itself instead of the technical stuff at that point. It's all just leading up to it ahead of time, and then afterwards, including getting dressed. so I'll have my wife ensure that I am not completely clashing, that type of thing.
That's too funny.
Yeah.
But it works. That's funny. So now I want to talk a little bit more about Imagely. I want to know because I am somebody who, I'll tell you that I have a Squarespace website, and I went to Squarespace because at least at the time, several years ago, it was just the easiest, most user-friendly option.
Right.
Again, at the time, and then I just stuck with it. Tell me about Imagely. What do you guys do, and how can you help photographers?
Yeah, so Imagely makes the most popular WordPress gallery plugin available. It's got 1 million users, free users, and Next Gen Gallery is basically a gallery plugin that does gallery displays, gallery management. You get to organize your galleries into folders where WordPress normally doesn't, and you can display them in a dozen different ways that you of your choosing, with tons of customization control. And on top of Next Gen Gallery, we also have a premium version called Next Gen Pro, which allows you to proof your photos, sell your photos, print or digital downloads, all from your site without needing a third-party service. There's a bunch of other things included with that, social sharing and individual image commenting and things like that. We also make a bunch of themes. So the look of your website, we make those as well. And our themes are designed to showcase your galleries seamlessly. So the plugin works nice in tangent with the theme. And on top of that, we also have Imagely sites, which we currently have the doors closed. We launched Imagely Hosting. It was called Imagely Hosting 2 years ago, and we decided to restructure it for a variety of reasons. And we have kept customers on, but we closed the doors, and we are reopening it under the name Imagely Sites, because we are truly making it a Squarespace competitor. It is going to be a turnkey solution. You literally go on, it's free to get started. You can actually have a website for free forever if you want to with us. You get all of the WordPress plugins and themes that we have offered. There are two limitations with the free account. One is you're using a subdomain of Imagely. Mm-hmm. So whatever photography.imagely.com versus having your own domain name. And also you're limited to storage space. But other than that, you can take advantage of everything else for free. So we're basically making it turnkey. So you get started. Everything is set up for you. You just go in and get started. And then, of course, you can upgrade to a better package, so you can get a domain with it, and you can also get additional storage.
And when will that be available?
So the service has been running. We have the previous customers on it. We are probably going to relaunch it in 2019. Open the doors for new customers. And the reason for that is, one, we want to make sure that the new system is really fine-tuned, as fast as possible. We're making it so people don't have to worry about running out of storage, because we want people to be able to upload their photos and sell their photos. And in order to do that, they need to upload the full resolution, which is not a common thing with WordPress sites. So because Next Gen Gallery is designed with its own gallery system instead of the WordPress gallery system, we can actually take these original sizes and we can control where they go. And we're going to basically, in a way, keep that load off the website and keep it all separate. So lots of things that need to be fine-tuned before we can open the doors again. Plus, we are working and almost done finally with PrintLab integration. So we're going to have the first PrintLab integration for WordPress.
That's cool. So, allowing people to sell physical products right through their website?
So they can already do it, but it's self-fulfillment. So you have to get the order and then order from your whatever lab you want and then ship it out.
I see.
We're going to have automated. So it'll be with White House Custom Color at first. And any WordPress site, anybody's WordPress site, can sell and do automated fulfillment through White House using our software. Plus, it'll be built into our Imagely sites package.
Oh, nice. That's awesome. That's definitely something that I think a lot of photographers are going to enjoy for sure.
Yeah.
Well, before your interview, I reached out to the beautiful people of the Beginner Photography Podcast Facebook group to ask them some questions that they have about photography websites. And I compiled a short little list right here. Are you ready for a lightning round of questions?
Let's do it.
Okay, perfect. So this first question is from Mel, and she wants to know, at what stage do you need to create a website? Do you wait until you're really good, or do you advertise yourself early so that you can get more work and then therefore more experience?
Start it from day one. It doesn't have to be the most beautiful, most modern thing out there. It doesn't have to use the best technologies out there. It doesn't even have to be a paid website. You can do a free website. Just have something. For example, if Imagely Sites was open, I would tell you right now, go to Imagely Sites and just sign up for a free account. You'd have a website literally in 2 minutes. You'd have a completely hatched website. Then you can then customize with your name and stuff. And it would be free. You would just be mel.imagely.com, right? And that would be fine to get started. And then when you start getting paying clients, you can then upgrade and have a domain with it, right? So there's no excuse to not have it. And you obviously you would want a portfolio. So hopefully as you're getting started, you're building up a portfolio and you can then, update the site with your new images and stuff like that. But your website is really your business card in a way. I mean, you want physical ones, but your website is also your business card. So your physical one's going to send people to your website, hopefully, so people can see your work. So yeah, you want to start from day one.
Perfect. That was easy enough. Gwen wants to know which site, or I'm assuming that she means platform, is the most user-friendly to get started.
This is a hard one to say because first I'm a WordPress guy, so I do like WordPress. For Imagely, we actually customize the WordPress backend to make it more user-friendly. So if you were to use Imagely Sites, it wouldn't look like WordPress normally. Mm-hmm. WordPress is probably not the easiest to use. I will say that. It is definitely the most flexible. The easiest to use in the photography space is probably going to be Squarespace. And Normally, I probably would say Show It would also be pretty easy to use. But part of the problem with Show It is that they also rely on WordPress for the blog. So you have two different systems you have to learn. So
Interesting.
while
I didn't know that.
So while Show It itself, their own your about page, your contact page, your home page, while those are Show It's system, and it's really easy, probably even easier to use than Squarespace. Once you go to the blog part, you now have to worry about WordPress. So in that way, I'm going to say that's more confusing than just WordPress alone.
Sounds like it. Yeah. It sounds like it. You might as well just stick with just WordPress at that point.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Easy enough. So getting started, there you go.
Yep.
Nancy says that she's building a portfolio to put onto a website, and she doesn't even know where to start creating one, honestly. So I'll kind of come up with a question for this. When it comes to building her portfolio, should it be on a homepage? Should it be a separate page? Where should this be on a website?
So I would say it depends on where the photographer is in their career. If you're just getting started and you don't have too much to share, you can actually build your photography website as a one-page website. And in fact, a lot of commercial-based photographers only have one page as their website. And basically, their menu at the top would just scroll down to wherever on that homepage that you want to go to. So if it says portfolio, it literally would just scroll down to a section that's a gallery of images. It's not segmented into sub galleries. It's literally just a bunch of images in a gallery in a nice display. And then at your contact, you would scroll down more to the contact form. Your about, it would be scroll up a little bit to the about form. So you could do a one-page thing. There's nothing wrong with that. Depending on the circumstances, you could even rank well for just having one page on your site. Versus numerous. It really depends on the type of photographer you are and where you are in your business.
Okay, so starting out, there's no problem doing a big one-page website?
Not at all.
I've often actually thought about that myself because I like how those big, long one-page websites kind of always guide you to the next step, right?
Yeah.
There's no question about it. You start off here, you go into the About Me, you go into some photos, and then, you can even go down into contact. I'm kind of curious, sub-question here. This is my own question. What are your thoughts on that? Do you find that works well? What are the cons there?
So it does work well as far as user experience goes because everything is in one page. There's no clicking around. Really, you can just scroll or you can utilize a menu system. A downside is SEO-wise, you now have to think about link building purposes. If you have one page on your site and you are getting linked from, let's say you're a wedding photographer and you have one page on your site and you're getting linked from a wedding, wedplan.com or some sort of wedding website, Knot, and they want to link to your about page, right? They're now going to link, potentially using an anchor text, about Scott, right? And they're going to link to your homepage because that's the one page on your site. So now Google is going to see this link saying this is about Scott. This is a page that's the about page for Scott. And yet when you go to the page, it's not just an about page. It's an about page, it's a portfolio page, it's a contact page, it's a whatever, it's a whole bunch of stuff. So in some ways, you have to be very careful about any links you get because it has to be to get ranked for what you want. You need to make sure the anchor text is what you want instead of just whatever whoever is linking to you wants to put.
Okay,
it's more important at that point because that page is doing a lot.
Sure. Yeah. A lot of the heavy lifting there for sure. Okay, cool. Okay, next question. Jason, so he does several different types of photography, and he says, I don't want someone who wants to hire me to go through action sports and then have to scroll through like landscape photos to get to the sports shots. What's the best way to tackle that?
So one thing that I'm a big fan of is funneling on websites. So you want to direct people to a specific place. So what I do is you go to my website, you go to the homepage, you'll see 4 buttons right now. Eventually, that won't exist because I'm hoping to shift that personal brand photography. But right now, you'll see You'll see families, you'll see Cake Smash, you'll see the personal brand photography, you'll see headshots. And if you click on family, you're going to a page only about my family portraits, showing only a portfolio of family portraits, only how to get in touch with me about family portraits, a little bit about pricing about it, all this stuff that's very specific. If you click on the headshot, it's the same thing, but it's for headshots only. So use a funnel and direct people to exactly, go to your website and think about what your clients or your potential clients are seeing. And if you're confusing them, then you need to adjust and just restructure your site so that you're funneling them to the right places. Use buttons. It's perfectly fine.
Okay. So I'm trying to picture this in my head. So would Jason's website just say like sports and landscapes? And then it's kind of like a choose your own adventure. You click on sports and then it takes you to like a one page and it just talks all about sports? Or is it a homepage that describes other things like about Jason and then they can choose where they want to go from there?
Yeah. So you really want more on your homepage than just those, the funnel, right? You want to have more. So mine has a bunch additional things, a little bit more about me, not a full bio, but a little bit more about me, where I am on social media. There's a bunch of different things there. Recent blog posts are featured there, stuff like that. So you want to have more, but then once they click through, it can be just a one-page thing. Now, Brian Caparici is one of my favorite examples for somebody who does a really good funnel. So when you click on his weddings, it's not a one-page thing. It's a multi-step process, but he actually navigates you through it. Like it shows you about why he got into wedding photography, and you click, learn more, and then it takes you to the next part, and you can always go back. So there's a back button, go back to that or move on. And it takes you through this multi-step process where at the end, it's a lead generation form.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll have to link to that in the show notes. I'll check that out. I know we've had Brian on and he's just a wealth of knowledge, that guy. He's great. Okay. So hopefully that helps out Jason. I know that it helped me. So next question is from Hershey. And she said that she started a website a while ago and it's terrible. She said that she needs to put in some work, but she just doesn't have any time. And then Danny said that he feels exactly the same way. So when I first started with a website, I started with WordPress as well. And this was 8 years ago, maybe. And at the time it was very, clunky isn't the word, but it was very like, I don't know, very strict, I guess, and it wasn't very easy to navigate on my own. And I found that to be the case as well. I'm not sure how it is today, but how time consuming should a website be?
So it depends on how involved you want to get with it. So if you want to take the time, your own time, if you have your own time to really build out your website and maintain it and all that stuff, then if you're hosting it yourself as well, so if you're using a host like a DreamHost, a Bluehost, a SiteGround, one of these hosts that give you a server to host to make WordPress live, then you've got a lot of work to do, and you could be spending hours every day fine tuning it, and it could take a very long time. Yeah. The other option is you go to a system like Imagery Sites that does it all for you. You don't have to worry about a thing. You just have to worry about adding your content, right? That's it. I will also say that you shouldn't worry about how your site looks on a daily basis that much. It's important, right? But it's not like the world's going to end if it's, one thing is too much to not align to another thing. The world won't end. Yes, people might notice it. The world won't end. You will survive. But no one's going to turn into The Walking Dead because your site's a little wonky. Yes, you want to be pretty, but don't go nuts. Don't make yourself insane by constantly fixing stuff. Now, I will say though, if your business is doing well and you want to improve it, just hire somebody. Just hire somebody. There's tons of people in the industry that do design work and maintenance for photography websites. There's no reason
Really?
why you can't. Oh yeah, there's no reason why you can't just hire somebody to do it for you. You know.
Now, you don't have to give an exact number here because, like you said, there's a bunch of them. But in what sort of like price range are we looking at for some service like that? Is it like $10 a month, or is it more like $1,000 a month?
So it depends.
Again, total ballpark.
Yeah, it depends on the person. So Brandon Hopper, for example, is a great developer who and web designer who does a lot of work for photographers. And what he does, he's got a very low monthly package. I don't remember. I want to say it might have been like $100 a month or something like that. And inside of the package, you get a certain amount of hours of work from him each month. And then you can buy a la carte additional hour time blocks or multi-hour time blocks. And if you're a paying member, you get those time blocks at a discount.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So if you're not a paying member of his, you just go to his website and you buy a block of time. It's going to be a lot more than it would be if you're paying him a monthly fee. So
okay, well, I'll have to check that out because I like that idea and not having to keep updating my website or keep it up or anything like that.
And somebody like him will do something as simple as I've got to change this graphic to this one. You know, the PPA logo has changed for the first time in 50. You know, not that it has. I'm just making something up, but the PPA logo has to be changed. So like. That'll take him like 2 seconds to do, right? So
sure, makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Well, Scott, you nailed it. You nailed the lightning round. That was all the questions there. Hopefully it was, yeah, you did a great job. Now I want to dive deeper and talk about what a website can do for us as photographers. Okay. Hey guys, Raymond here. I just wanted to take a quick break from today's chat to let you know that you are listening to the free version of this interview. And if you like what you hear from today's guest, you can hear the full interview and get access to the entire back catalog of past interviews by simply becoming a premium member of the podcast for just $10 a month by signing up over at patreon.com/beginner photography podcast. And if you're driving, well, no worries. The link is on our homepage at beginnerphotographypodcast.com also. So sign up now, and if it's not everything that you hoped it to be, no worries. Cancel anytime within the first 30 days, and I will happily give you your money back. That's it. I appreciate you all. I hope to see you on the inside. If somebody's listening right now and they want to transition their website from something like a Squarespace to a website or to a WordPress, is that a simple process, or is that like starting over from the very beginning?
So yes and no. So it is easy to basically go to WordPress for the most part. However, services like Squarespace, they even give you a WordPress export file. So you can actually literally export your data.
Why would they do that?
Yeah. So they do it, but they make it hard. So if you use e-commerce in Squarespace, that does not get exported. If you use some of their other non-standard things, they don't get exported. Your pages and your blog posts will be exported. Your the images will still live on Squarespace, so you need to then install a plugin on WordPress that sucks those into your own WordPress site. And then the kicker, which drives me insane, is Squarespace actually renames, sometimes, depending on your Squarespace settings, renames your image files when you upload them. So if you think about SEO and start naming your image files a certain way, and you're using certain settings in Squarespace, they're changing it for you, and you don't even realize it. So when it gets sucked into WordPress, you have a really strange Squarespace file name that you now need to either leave as is or rename. And optimize. So I've done probably about a dozen Squarespace to WordPress migrations, and every time I deal with this nonsense. So either certain pages, because of whether it's e-commerce or something else, don't come in, or images I have to rename. And when it's a small site, fine, no problem. When it's a large site, like when Tamara Lackey is one of the Imagely ambassadors, and we migrated one of her sites from Squarespace to two of her sites from Squarespace to WordPress, and it probably took me a week for each of them. And most of that time,
because she's got a lot of
content, a lot of images, and most of it was just handling the image issues.
Wow.
So, and like I said,
And when you're a photographer, that's not
what you want
to
to be dealing with. And of course, there's services out there that will do this all for you, and they'll do it in a day. So it's possible. And in Tamara Lackey's case, for one of her sites, her Lush Albums website, I was able to match the design from Squarespace in WordPress in no time. It was so easy to do. So the actual website itself was done in a day, but it was the content, the images that took all the time.
Right. Interesting. Okay. Cool. Good to know. Good to know. As the winter is approaching, it's something to think about for sure. I want to know if you had to. We're gonna go back to kind of your side of photography now. And I ask this to everybody because I love this question. I love to hear everybody's insights. If you had to start all over again, like from the beginning, is there anything that you would have done differently to get to where you are today, but faster?
You've probably heard this a bunch of times, but I would have taken a lot of business classes. So when I switched from music to photography, my degree went from music recording to photography technology. So I had the ability to do a lot of darkroom and digital photography through that curriculum, and it was fantastic. I learned a ton about photography. In all of the time I was there, I had to take one business class. It was a small business class, and it was generic, not for photography. And I basically learned the differences between an LLC and an incorporation and that kind of stuff. I didn't learn anything else. So, in fact, I didn't even go to most of the classes, and I still passed the class. So,
is there anything in particular about business that you wish that you would have known earlier?
I wish I learned more about taxes, about financial, the books, just how to run a business in general. Like I would have started with in-person sales if I knew anything about it. And obviously in-person sales, that goes beyond just photography. Tons of businesses do it. Yeah. So I didn't know what I was doing. So I started my business like most photographers in the past 20 years as a shoot and burn. And, now my entire area is littered with shoot and burn, and it's hard to get away from it, So
right.
If I'm the guy who's charging more and trying to do in person, they're going to go to someone else because they can just do it quick and get a cheap $100, $200 job from somebody. I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
So getting away from that now is hard. So if I learned all this from the beginning, I would have started that way.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. So spend a lot of time worrying about the financials, getting your prices right, and doing more in-person sales.
Yep.
Okay. I love it. If there's one piece of information that you could give to somebody listening right now who's smart, they're driven, maybe they do or they have no aspirations to start a business, but they love photography, what piece of advice would you give a new photographer about to set out on their own journey?
Is this somebody who doesn't want to do a business or just hasn't done business right now?
Well, I think we just answered a question kind of about business. What you wish that you would have known. So let's assume that this person has no aspirations of starting a business. They just love photography.
Yeah, you know what? And one of the reasons why I didn't go full time in photography, just as a side note, is because I didn't want to hate it. I didn't want to do full time and just not enjoy it anymore ever. So that's why I've had jobs for other people, and basically for years. So I would say study, not just online. Creative Live is great, and all these, YouTube is great. You can get free education there, of course. I'm on YouTube giving free education, so it's great. You're doing a podcast that's helping tons of people. I would say take in-person workshops with photographers that really, really intrigue you. When I was first starting out, I took my favorite workshop. I took a bunch. My favorite one was with David Tejada. He is a commercial portrait photographer. He's been doing it for years. He's basically a veteran photographer at this point. He's not that old, but he's been doing it long enough that I think he gets that title. And he did. This is when the whole industry, if you recall, years ago, the industry went from having these giant strobes to a lot of people wanting the small flashes and wireless and stuff.
Yeah.
So he went around touring and did small strobes, small light, small strobes, small whatever it was called. It was the best workshop I ever took. It was in Eastern State Penitentiary in Philadelphia, which is one of my favorite places to photograph. It's a museum. It's the first penitentiary in the United States, and it's now a museum.
Oh, cool. Okay, I was questionable at first, but okay, I got it now.
it's amazing. It's such a cool place. If you're ever in the area, I'll take you there. And
for sure.
And he literally rented out one of the wings of the prison, and we had one of the wings that no one ever gets access to. By the way, 12 Monkeys was filmed there, one Bruce Willis movie.
Oh, cool.
And one of the Transformers movies had a couple scenes there. So we spent basically an entire day from morning to night in the prison photographing people. And it was hands-on. It wasn't like, all right, this is how you do it. And then click, okay, let's move on. It was, this is how you do it. Take your camera. Here's my pocket wizard. Go. Right? It was hands-on. We got dirty, literally dirty, in this prison because it's filthy. And he brought in with his assistants like tons of equipment that we could play with, and experiment with gels and the canned fog and like the Hollywood fog. And it was so much fun. So that's what I would say is, save your money and invest it in taking workshops with people, whether it's street photography or landscapes or portraits. Take workshops with people that intrigue you, that you really want to learn from, because that you're gonna love it. There's no way you can't love it. You're gonna, so
right.
Yeah, that's what I would say.
What do you think about taking workshops from photographers who are outside of your specialty?
If you want to challenge yourself, without a doubt. If you just want to just focus on the one thing, find workshops in that. But there's there's tons of people that are doing workshops around everywhere. So you could always find something,
Yeah. Like I've always wondered why there isn't like a directory of like workshops.
So there are some, I think even Design to Glow has one, but they're not promoted that much because it's kind of like a second thought for most, you're not gonna make money off of it. Right. For having that website.
Right.
So
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Has there ever been a piece of gear like in your business that you thought like, oh my gosh, I have to have this. This is going to be the coolest thing. This is going to change everything for me. And then you bought it and that
I never used it. Oh boy. Recently, not long ago. So I've been doing a lot of YouTube videos and I thought gimbals were the coolest thing. Right. And I thought that when I was doing YouTube videos, I'd be doing a lot of iPhone videos as well, which I am. But I've come up with my own method for it instead of doing what I thought would be great. Tiffin came out with a Steadicam Volt, which is on the floor next to me, ready to be sold. I backed it on Kickstarter. I was like, whoa, a gimbal that requires no power. It has power, but if the battery dies, you can still use it. And it's for an iPhone. And it doesn't matter if I have a microphone on it, if I have a moment lens on it, it'll still balance without batteries. Whoa. Yeah, it sucks. It sucks.
So it's just like
it's
a bad product.
I do not like it. And Steadicam is like the industry standard for Hollywood, right? Or at least it used to be.
Yeah.
And I was so disappointed, so I'm selling it. But
are you gonna buy another one, like a Osmo?
No, I'm fine. I have the iPhone 10 and it has image stabilizer in it. It does a pretty good job. Yeah, the Osmo would give me better results. I'll wait till DJI says, "Hey, we want to sponsor you. Here's an Osmo." But in the meantime, I'm just gonna. I have a tabletop tripod, and I mount it to it, and it's been fine. Plus I use my main camera, my normal camera. Right now it's a Nikon D850. I use that. And I think the Nikon Nikon, I got to stop saying Nikon, the Nikon Z6 or Z7, one of them are in my near future. So,
oh really? You're gonna make the switch?
I think so. Yeah. So the company I used to work with, though, which is Mac Worldwide Warranty, I partnered with them. I'm kind of one of their ambassadors in a way, and and part of the deal is equipment. So we do some bartering on the equipment. So, which is nice, so that the Z6 or 7, whichever I wind up getting, is going to be sort of, here's the camera. Now let's have you do some work for us. that kind of thing. So
Oh,
yeah.
I see. Right. Well, that's a pretty cool setup. Then it's like a no brainer then to update it.
Yeah. So we'll see. I'm just waiting on the call to finalize the details, but it'll be good because then I'll have the Nikon D850 for like main work, and then I'll have the Z for videos and stuff because now that'll have in-body VR. So
Right.
yeah,
That'll be nice.
yeah.
That'll be nice. Well, Scott, man, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. I want to know, I want to know a little bit about you and like what you offer. I know that you have a course that I'd love for you to talk about.
I have built a system for myself. If you recall, I mentioned that I got 2 Cake Smash sessions booked without even me doing anything. So this is actually part of that system. I built a system that gets me 10 leads a week in my suite of photography services that I offer. And a lot of people ask me about this system. I did a webinar on it here and I did a webinar on it there, and people were intrigued. So I put together a course and I call it More Leads, More Clients. And the course goes through how to build your own system. No matter the genre of photography you do, I go through the nitty gritty from start to finish. And I share a bunch of things I like to call one-offs. I share actual content examples of what you could do depending on the genre of photography. I share some critiques of what some of the students are doing. And then I got a bunch of other sort of bonus videos that are related. So there's a bunch of stuff. More Leads, More Clients. You can just go to my website, scottwyden.com. Go to the for photographers section, and you'll see in the courses, you'll find it there. And it's available, and it's students are loving it and they're learning. So yeah.
Cool. Good stuff. I love the idea of it. Like you said, it really plays into what you were saying about educating, right? Being the main part of your website, being able to help out your clients in any sort of way, whether it be the best wedding venues or a one-off like you talked about. And the system sounds really interesting, and I'm excited to find out more about it and dive into it. So again, Scott, man, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing. And I really
thanks for having me. It was a great conversation.
Okay, now I know that this interview may have been more technical than others, but listen, the fundamentals are all here. What I really hope is that you got as much from this interview as I did. And with the winter approaching, there is a good chance that you might not be shooting as much as you are in the summertime, so you can put a lot of work into building a website. You know, building a website is you can get the frame up and then tweak as you go. It doesn't have to be a continuous, huge investment of time. I know that my winter list is probably no shorter than 10 miles long. It's really ambitious and it's scary, but also so exciting. I got some huge things coming up for both the podcast and my own business that I'm just so excited to get up every day and really work hard for it. So that's it for today's interview. Go ahead and check out the show notes of this episode for links to anything and everything that we talked about in the interview with Scott, including his course, to get more leads. That's always something that every photographer always wants more of. Really, really relevant stuff. So get out there, shoot as much as you can before it gets too cold and you're trapped inside. And remember, no photo is worth your life, okay? Stay safe. Keep shooting. I love you all.
If you enjoyed today's podcast, please leave us a review in iTunes or your favorite podcast player. And continue the conversation with Raymond and other listeners of the podcast by joining the Beginner Photography Podcast Facebook group today. Thank you. We'll see you again next week.